This horse story is entitled "And My Horse Slept Through It." At the time, my horse CK was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and we rode down to a horseback event, and he had a lot of energy, so I rode him about 2 miles to the event and tied him off by the fence, and he got to watching all the other horses compete. Well, he's an old hand at barrel racing, and he's not the fastest or the best. We'll come in, third in a 3 horse race frequently, but we both enjoy it. So he's tied off to the solid welded steel fence, and he's becoming more and more bored and more lackadaisical. And we had our opportunity to compete, and then it rotated to the next folks. And he's standing there, and his head starts dipping, and he just falls asleep. Well, he's as asleep as a horse gets. And up comes a lady and ties her horse off at the safe, prescribed distance where they can't kick each other. And she's standing between her horse and my horse. I look over, notice that where she is, wave to her, say hello, and I'm watching the event and kind of laughing at my horse, he is pretty much catatonic. Behind us and just above the arena was a road that led back to a residential area, and some knucklehead decided to drive through, saw what was going on, and accelerated as fast as they could. Now, there was probably 70 horses at this event. Honestly, close to half of them had a panic attack, understanding that horses view anything they don't understand as being guilty until proven harmless. So all of the horses that panic are throwing themselves around and going into great antics all over the place, jerking on lead ropes and fighting all over the place, spinning around with their riders. And then there was quite a few that didn't. Well, I look over at my horse, and he raises his head, yawns, looks over, and watches the car go by. All of his life, he's been around automobiles. Matter of fact, if we're out riding together, especially at a horseback event where horses are intermixed with vehicles everywhere, he will bump the tailgate of a truck that's moving too slowly in front of him, the way he would bump another horse to say, hurry up. He has no fear of motor vehicles. Unfortunately for the lady next to me, her horse had a panic attack. It threw itself around sideways, and fortunately for her, it was throwing itself around the opposite direction from where she was standing, and hit the fence and began slamming itself bodily into this solid steel fence, trying to get away from this car. Now, I blame the person driving the car for being a jerk. That's ridiculous. But unfortunately, oftentimes, our horses leave the farm having never really been taught about anything in the real world that they're going to have to deal with. My horse looks over her horse at the car rapidly retreating into the background, looks at her horse, kind of gave him a hard look like, grow up, dude, it's a car, and then put his head back down, yawned again, and proceeded to close his eyes. To him, it was no big deal. When she finally succeeded in calming her horse, she turned around to me and she said, "That is one of the calmest horses I've ever seen." And I told her, I said, "Well, honestly, he's just the same thing as your horse. They're both full-blood quarter horses. They both have the same instincts. You can't take that away from them. But he has come to realize that those things are not going to hurt him." And we had a nice long talk about the benefits of gentling. So I thought you might enjoy that story. Especially the reaction of the horse was really, really amusing as he looked at the other horse like, dude, it's no big deal, it's a car. And that's the kind of reaction we want from our horses. We want our horses to react to the other things going on around them like, it's no big deal, it's just a car, or whatever. Have a good day.